This video is about a scene from Scarface. If you know Scarface, then you know ball. The movie with Sosa, Tony Montana, and obviously Omar, and many others. I want to break down a specific scene from Scarface and just literally describe why I believe respect, confidence, and having discernment is important, vital in life. So you can be able to be, understanding of what things are, environments, and what you're actually doing in whoever you're dealing with. And I just thought this film, if you know what it's about, you know the ending. Tony Montana ended, right? But he was taken out. But I'm talking about how demeanors, tones, what people are saying, what people know, what people don't know, right? How that all comes out in this particular scene. It's not literally about the film and its story. It's just literally about the scene and how exuding confidence and actually exuding confidence for the right reasons based on the knowledge you have is important. And then obviously how respect and discernment is important. So yeah, I'm going to break down this scene and just tell you what I see, come back with what I think, in between with commentary. But before, please like the video and let's get into it.
So, this Lopez guarantees to buy from me 150 kilos every month of the year. He picks it up down here. I can sell it to him for as little as 7,000 a key. You cannot do better than that.
Yeah, but then we gotta take the risk of moving it. Also, we'll be cutting out the Colombians. You know what that means?
That means we have to go to war with
We cut out the Colombians. We take risks on both sides.
them. So why don't we split the risk? You guarantee your delivery, say, as far as Panama. We take it from there.
Panama is risky. Costs me more. Panama I can sell for 13.5 a key.
13.5? What are you, nuts? 13.5? We still gotta take that shit to Florida, man. Do you know what that's like these days? You got the fucking Navy all over the place. You got frogmen. You got EC-2s with the satellite tracking shit in them. You got the fucking Bell 209 assault choppers up the ass, man. Do we're losing 1 out of every 9 loads. That's no duck walk anymore, man. Let me tell you. Forget about 13.5.
Look at Tony and the confidence he showed in that scene. The confidence to speak to somebody that was revered, respected, based on what he done, right? Based on what he is within the game. Now, forget the game aspect of it. Forget what they're actually doing in terms of what they're moving. That's not the point. The point is being confident, knowing your stuff, and still being able to not put people on pedestal who are at a certain position that you have put in your mind as the big dog or whatever, right? These things that we have of people, and we put people on pedestals that, quite frankly, sometimes you don't even know yet, right? And even then, putting people on pedestal, that shouldn't even be a main thing you do. But it just showed Tony's confidence, his know-how, and his knowledge in that scene. Obviously, Sosa is measured in his approach in confidence. Measured approach, knows what he wants, is trying to literally broker a deal. He's trying to be open and accepting of what Tony is saying. Because you can kind of see that whenever Tony speaks in this straightforward way, you can see Sosa perks up as if, oh, okay, is that what you think? He's always sizing people up, always looking and assessing. Very non kind of obvious demeanor, very, low key in his demeanor, not knowing exactly what he's thinking. That's a sign of confidence as well. But it's also a sign of being mindful and also understanding how you can come across to be able to get the desired result. Because sometimes that can make people feel a way, that kind of calm and established demeanor. But Tony's confidence was, I know what I'm talking about. I know the ideas that I have based on what you're saying, because I think if you do that, he says, like, you crazy? If you do such and such, this will happen. So not being afraid to say and speak about what you know to certain people again, that you believe. Sometimes people think, oh, we can't say to high net worth individuals and we can't. No, sometimes you have to say exactly what's required so everybody knows where everybody stands. Now, we're not saying sometimes you're going to have the straight shooter way that Tony had, but the point is being able to command yourself in the right way so you're able to get your points across and not having any kind of inability to speak about what you know. And I think that's an important part of the scene, and it's an important part in life in general. So when I saw that scene, I thought, yeah, that's what made sense to me. And then obviously Omar, who you can see throughout that scene as it progresses, as I show some clips, he didn't even realize the lack of respect that Tony had for him. And that's a lack of discernment, or it's maybe also a lack of giving a damn to an extent because you're just trying to get a deal. Whereas Tony was like, bro, this is how I believe it has to get done. And Omar's lack of understanding, forget that Omar was what he was, which he was a rat, right? Forget that part, just the part of Omar not being able to discern when somebody ain't messing with you. But because Omar wants to get the deal done, he's just thinking about that. And on top of that, he's not even realizing that that is important, respect. He wasn't receiving it from Tony. So if you're in a relationship trying to deal in anything, business, whatever, you realize why it's important to have it. Because if you're not having it, things can take place incorrectly against you, irrespective of you being, like I said, forget the film aspect about what we know of Omar, just the whole inability to recognize how to deal with a form of disrespect and the way somebody that he brought into the game was treating him. But because I don't check for you, I'm going to do this. And sometimes not having respect for somebody, it can happen at any moment. There can be any reason why someone will look at you in a certain way and think, why I don't like you, why I don't check for you. There's a reason, but sometimes you're not privy to it. So sometimes it's important to discern how people are speaking, the tones, everything, because it's important how you move so you're able to move and navigate seamlessly in whatever you're doing. So that's what that showed as well. Omar did not get the understanding. He just thought that, oh, this guy was maybe a young, cocky upstart, which he was. But he's not seeing that you cannot have somebody like that, giving you that kind of disrespect. But it's important, again, to remember, it's not about what Omar was. It's just about this particular scene and taking consideration that you don't know. Let's just say Omar is not what he was, right? A rat. Just look at the fact that he's being disrespected just from a general point of view of how you have to be mindful in anything. If you're not getting the desired result from somebody, you definitely have to sever ties and make sure that you're dealing with people that you can see are respecting you. But always have discernment, because you just also never know. Wood can get pulled over your eyes in any moment. It's vital that you're always in that state of just, being understanding. Make sure that you give respect so you can get it. And then on top of that, make sure you have discernment so you can kind of see how people could be funny style with you. So that's important. But let's go to the next scene.
What do you suggest? It is reasonable. Excuse me. One moment.
Hey, Montana, what the fuck's the matter with you? You negotiating for Frank Lopez? Huh? Is that what you're doing?
Don't worry about it, man. Take it easy.
I'm not worried about it. You should worry about it. If he wants to make a deal, it's up to him, not you. We're gonna do this one deal, that's it.
Okay, fuck you. How's that?
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
You need to open your eyes and keep your mouth shut. That's it, let it go at that.
Don't worry about it, okay?
Wait till you get back. Your head is in the wrong place. You got to watch out for yourself. Why don't you talk to him about it? You think he wants to give you the money to spend? Huh?
Shut the fuck up, will you?
I'm doing the talking here, not you. You need to watch my back. Watch my back.
Better than your friend, let me tell you. That's easier to watch.
Close your mouth. I can't wait to see what Frank's gonna react to this one. Just shut up. I'm doing the talking here.
So where were we?
Panama. You're looking for a partner, right?
Something like that.
After all of that, look at Tony again, just spoke, said his piece. I don't respect you, so I'm going to continually keep saying what I need to say. Prime example, this one. Clear cut, I'm not checking for you. So you can say what you need to say. I'm going to bite back at you. You can't have this in any form of relationship, business, whatever. This was a clear indication. When I saw this, when I watched this many years ago when I was younger, saw this scene and I thought to myself, but how can you do business like this? How can you deal with someone just because, oh, you want to get to it? No, I can't get to it in these conditions, man. And you shouldn't in any shape or form. It doesn't even have to be in this kind of way where they're going back and forth in this manner. It's just the little things. It can fester if you allow it to get to this point potentially. So that's why discernment is key. Some people will think, oh, you can just have these relationships and it's all good. Yeah, some can work out. But for me, I wouldn't advocate for it. I wouldn't take that chance. It's important to know where you stand, you know, and realize who is for you and who is not. And Omar couldn't see that Tony wasn't for him, you know, didn't rate him, didn't respect him, even though Omar brought him into the game. But look at what Tony did to take his chance to try and now show, particularly now from this point of view in the scene, that I know enough. So I'm going to speak it, say it, and speak to the main guy about my opinions, you know, and I'm not going to shirk any kind of responsibility in doing so. So that was key as well. You know, even at the end when he said, oh yeah, so you're looking for a partner, he just immediately just jumped in. And the way you saw Sosa watching him when he was sitting down, as if, yeah, so what more do you know? You know, just very much exercising his ability to just keep analyzing. And like I say, if you're in a position in whatever you're doing, you have to always be assessing what makes sense. You know, what people are saying, how they're saying it, when you're in an environment that you believe is, you know, important or high stakes, you know. And that goes with most things in life. So that's what this showed. Let's get back to another clip as well on the scene where it kind of further shows the confidence, and again, further shows why it's important to have the ability to know what you're doing and whatever you're looking to do or whatever you're doing.
Look, Mr. Sosa, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. I am down on Frank's authority to buy 200 keys. That's it. That's my limit. I got no right. Nobody got no right to negotiate
Omar,
for Frank
why don't
Lopez.
you let a man finish, okay? Let him propose a proposition, and then we can talk more.
Montana, you got no authority here, okay? I started doing this fucking business, so shut the fuck
Frank
up.
is gonna love it, man. Don't worry about it.
That's up to Frank, not you! I'm sorry about this, Mr. Sosa.
Oh, it's all right. You're right. Maybe you should talk to Frank.
I'm good. Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone. But as soon as I get back to Miami, I'll talk to Frank personally.
Good.
Even that scene showed Omar getting frustrated and then mentioned the fact that I brought you into this, to try and say that in front of the main guy. So that, again, he was showing his frustration at not being respected, but didn't realize this has been stemming from before. Like, didn't know how to assess Tony's character. Didn't know how to see that, okay, I've brought this guy in, but have I done the right thing? And it's festered to a point where you're having an issue in front of your potential business partner, you know? And that's another thing. If there's business, if there's anything, you're bringing people involved, you got to know that, look, I'm bringing this person because I can vouch for this person. You know, this one here, Sosa, he's watching everything that's taking place. And he's thinking, okay, I'm sure like, all right. And again, take out the fact that Sosa knows that he's a rat. Just in general, those issues can take place where the main guy or whatever you're trying to do with somebody, they're watching, they're assessing, and they're seeing the fact that you guys are not where you need to be. And that can sometimes play itself out where there's a lack of connection, a lack of understanding between two people, and you're seeing the results of it. One is watching you as if, you know, and then the other, you get Sosa watching as if, you know, he's seeing all of this like, And then you've got Tony who's just like, look, I don't care. I'm going to say my piece. And again, I'm going to make sure that what I know is going to be said. But that lack of respect is making Tony speak this way. What I've realized in life, relationships is important. What foundation have we built this relationship on? In anything, if there's no form of respect, sometimes you see people forcing things, trying to be in certain environments, and it's like, but do they even respect you though? You know, what are you doing this for? Are you doing it for clout? You know, trying to be, you know, with the in crowd or whatever, you know, people call it. You know, do they check for you? How do you know they check for you? Why did they check for you? You know, this one was prime example of, I don't check for you, but we got to do this business deal. We got Frank that we're going to go back to, but I don't really rate you. You know, so to be in that environment is key, that you don't allow yourself to remain in it. Once you have something that you've started, you've got to make sure that the right pieces of the puzzle are there. And one of the main issues also in this that people may not look at is when he said, it's not something I want to do on an overseas phone, you know, speak about the business they're doing. And then he said, I'll be sure to report back personally. When he did that thumbs up, that told me he didn't understand the environment he's in. In a high stakes environment, in my opinion, in an environment where serious business or serious moves are being done, that personally, to me, I looked at it and I thought, you see, people may not think of these little things. I looked at it and I thought, weak. Can't be doing that in this kind of environment. You got to know the room you're in. Certain rooms where that maybe is fine, where you can just assess it. So it's all about assessing your environment, assessing what is at stake, what is being spoken about, and know who you're dealing with. That thumbs up is not something that you do in front of a person like Sosa. But even just someone that comes across a certain way, a certain demeanor, a certain way about him, you have to show that you've got a form of composure. That to me wasn't a form of composure. It came across as, okay, I'm trying to paint myself as a person that is trying to be, you know, appeasing and in a way where I'm trying to get this business deal done. So I'm trying to come across as, you know, well, I say these things based on the fact that humans, we're very much about demeanors, tones, and everything is important to how things are done and said. And you have to read the environment. In that environment, to me, you don't do that. And again, take away the fact that it's what the film is and what they're doing in terms of what they're actually partaking in. Just an environment, you've got to read it. That doesn't look like it's suitable there. It looks like it's suitable in another environment that's a little bit more different. More, if you've got more people that's got more of an open way about them, then maybe the thumbs up will work. But it's just sometimes how you can be perceived is what I'm saying. And I think I saw someone that didn't show that he understood the environment as much to be taken seriously. But let's go to another scene.
He put Tito Duval and the Ramos brothers, Nello and Gino, away for life. So how do I know you're not a Chivato too, Tony?
Hey, Sosa. Let's get this straight now. I never fucked anybody over in my life. Didn't have it coming to me. You got that? All I have in this world is my balls and my word. And I don't break them for no one. Do you understand? That piece of shit up there, I never liked him. I never trusted him. For all I know, he had me set up and had my friend Angel Fernandez killed. But that's history. I'm here, he's not. Do you want to go on with me? You say it. You don't? Then you make a move.
I think you speak from the heart, Montana.
You see, that scene showed, again, I'm speaking to what is considered the main man in business. I'm speaking to a big company, you know, a big CEO, a head's Fortune 5, you know, a big CEO of a Fortune, whatever, 500 company, right? Or whatever, you know, these names and, you know, things that people put up as important. But he spoke when he was tested in a way where he was trying to assess what character does Tony have. And the way he spoke, binoculars in the hand, threw it and say, hey, take it back. you know, let me tell you what I am about. You know, I'm going to stand on it. If you're with it, let's go. If you're not, let me know. So this is also, even if you're doing like a deal, it kind of reminds me of the moments when I was in sales working with a IT cloud company years ago. And you're dealing with people and you're speaking and you're like, okay, this is the proposition. But knowing that you don't force it, knowing that you don't act like you need to beg for the deal, knowing that you don't need to act like you need to keep proving and proving, you assessed, you stated what it is you need to do and what you're going to do or what you're about. It's more of a, it's in your court now. And this showed, I know my stuff. I know I've got a form of character. I know I've got what I say in my heart and what I believe is what I do. It's up to you to now make your assessment. I'm not here to force it. I'm just going to say my piece and make you make your assessment. You're with it or not. And that's what that showed. That showed a level of balls, which is going to have to be showed in many moments sometimes. In certain occasions, certain moments that you're trying to do something that you feel is big and important, you're going to have to do these kinds of things. Maybe, like I said, not in the same way, but just using that whole bullshit, confident attitude, but confident for a reason because you've got know-how.
But I say to myself, this Lopez, your boss, he had chivatos like that working for him. His judgment stinks. So I think to myself, how many other mistakes has this Lopez guy made? How can I trust this organization? You tell me, Tony.
Frank is smart. You know? Can't blame him for that animal. And it's a crazy business we're in, you know? And that could happen to anyone, even you know?
And obviously in that scene, again, still Sosa is trying to assess Tony's vibe and character. Trying to assess it. Are you Tony? Are you worthy? He's trying to see if Tony's worthy of dealing with him. Dealing big business. You know, having the ability to say, look, I'll work with you and I can now put things to you and we can partner up. But what are you like? You know? He's still trying to find that out. But also he's trying to discern in a way where he just wants him to spew things. Tell me, you know? Sosa has got that form of discernment of, I've got to do this. You know, I've got to make these assessments and questions, you know, because obviously, based on the film, we know what happened with Omar. He got taken out. But just, again, forget that part. Just look at the part of the ability of Sosa trying to discern who this person is and why it's important to do it. Because it can give you that ability to know what makes sense and who to deal with and who not to, because it can eradicate issues immediately. And if you don't, you can be in crazy problems because you're not able to have control in the ways that's required when you've set up something. Because when you set up something, the aim is to be able to maximize its potential, not for it to have any kind of unnecessary disruption. And that's what he was trying to assess. Whereas Tony, again, made something very clear to the big dog. That's what they would have called Sosa at the time. Made something very clear and said, look, this can happen to anybody, even you. So for him to say that, that's another thing that people who are on the come up or who are, you know, not where maybe they want to be initially, they may think, can I say certain things? But no, he said it can even happen to you. He could have even said something like this, it's a dangerous game, or this game is a high stakes game. This can happen. But he specifically, I think purposely said it can happen to you. Because in a way, that takes him off, and I'm not saying Sosa is, but that kind of takes him off this kind of level for that very moment of you are the main guy, but you can even be touched. You know, Tony didn't look at him in a way that was like, I cannot say this. He was just straight up. The game at that moment, and again, this is just the film aspect. Take away what the film is about. But at that moment, he said, it's a crazy, dirty game, more or less. So you're in it as well, Sosa. So you can even get touched. Not just someone like him, Omar, or, you know, the guys who are not at the level. It's also you, the main guy. So again, not being afraid to say confidently what you're actually thinking, especially if it's in context and it actually makes logical sense. Because what you say makes logical sense is that people will hold back because, oh, I don't have the confidence to say it to this or this. I don't have the confidence to bring my ideas. I don't have the confidence to assert myself when I need to, in a job, in a certain business environment, in a whatever it is, in school, in college. There's certain things that you hold back on. And sometimes you can, I'm sure, remember in your life, you think, why did I not even say that when I needed to say that? Because that would have helped such and such. That would have helped this. That would have helped that. Knowing your environment so you can say the things that make logical sense. This is what that scene showed. You know, knowing how to assess every part and moment of where you are and what is being said, and have the ability to listen, learn, confident, have respect, be respected, all of that. That's what this all, to me, encompassed. Obviously, after this point, we know what Tony was told from Sosa. Don't you ever try to, Tony, I tell you this one time, you know, don't you ever try to me, Tony. So he knew at the end of the day, although Tony said what he said about him showing that he was basically, in a way, low-key proving himself. But Sosa was doing it in such a way where it was just casual in the questioning, casual in the ability to discern and try and assess him. But Tony, low-key, didn't know that he was proving himself, but he was just speaking from the heart, as Sosa said. He just was speaking exactly what he thinks, you know, straight up. I'm not here for the, you know, pulling out all the airs and stops. I'm not going to bow down. I'm just going to say it as it is. When I've watched it many years ago, I thought, nah, this actually has other things into it, you know, and I thought I'll assess it in this kind of way. But it'll be interesting to find out. What do people think, man? What's people's opinions on the scene, and what else do they see? I like these kinds of things where people are, you know, it could be in a film, TV program. I like that, how people bounce off each other and see how things actually play out, you know? So yeah, you know the film, Tony Montana, Scarface. There's other scenes in this film that obviously depict so many other things, but yeah, this one was the one I wanted to pick. But let me know